Well, hi there. Before we reach the start time, I just want to do a quick introduction to what we're doing tonight and what this is all about. So basically on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in August, I'm going to be doing a 30-minute guided meditation. It's going to be the meditation I'm working on at the moment, which is called Dzogchen. It's from the Dzogchen tradition. It's a Tibetan Buddhist, a branch of Tibetan Buddhism. The basic point of view of Dzogchen is that our awareness, our consciousness is already perfected. We don't have to grasp for enlightenment. We don't need to try to become enlightened. At the same time, there's cleaning up to do. There's also the fact that although our innate awareness, our innate consciousness is enlightened perfectly, there's a difference between that being the case and us consciously realizing it. But the basic perspective is one of our awareness already being perfected, our consciousness already being liberated, free, enlightened, and yet maximally full. And so the meditations in Dzogchen are very much, they very much rely on this perspective. And you'll see this in the meditation we're doing tonight. The focus is on cultivating an awareness of what already is. It does, in a sense, involve a special state of consciousness in the sense that often we're not fully aware of what's happening in our subjective experience. But the perspective is one of non-striving. It's of coming home. It's of being present and being aware of what's happening rather than cultivating special states. So it's 8 o'clock, I think. I will begin and we'll be going on for about half an hour here. And if you do have anything to comment, do write in the chat, and I'll have a look every few minutes just to see what's going on there. Okay, I would recommend sitting, if not in a meditative posture like I am. I'm sitting on a stool right now. If not sitting in a meditative posture, you can just sit comfortably. Dzogchen is actually quite loose about the posture and so on. So make sure you're nice and comfortable and just give yourself this time to just sit. That's the meditation we're practicing from the Dzogchen tradition, just sitting. Just have a little sip of mint tea from the garden before I begin. So, preparing the body for meditation. I'm sitting nice and tall, my back's nice and erect here. But I'm also scanning the face, the shoulders, the arms and the hands and the legs and so on for any unnecessary tension or holding in the body. Often we have, our habitual tension that builds up throughout the day. And we also, when we come into meditation, we find that often we strive for, to be more concentrated or to be more alert by tensing up. We just want to loosen that. We just want to let our weight sink downwards. Just let the chair or the floor support you. And just for a minute, feel the stillness of the body, the stability, the serenity of the stillness, the still body. So just sitting. What we're doing in just sitting is we hold our awareness broad, trying to feel the body, being aware of comings and goings, aware of the mind, aware of sounds around us, emotions and more touch type sensations too. The entire, what they call the great perfection in Dzogchen, which is basically the entire subjective world, the entire everything that you're experiencing in your senses right now, the great perfection. We're just trying to bring presence to that. Let it come and go with no resistance, remaining as the pure container for all of this. It's like seaweed in the sea. The seaweed comes and goes, the sea just remains. The water isn't resisting the seaweed, it's not pushing, it's not grabbing on, it's just letting, it's just being a vessel for it, just passes right through, no hindrance. That's what we want in just sitting. The full instruction is just sitting, just breathing, just being. So you can also hold some awareness on the breath, the natural breath, as it causes the abdomen to expand and contract. And use that as a kind of anchor for your awareness of the entire great perfection, your entire subjective world. And just being, your consciousness, your pure awareness, objectless yet also including all objects, is already perfect as far as the Dzogchen view goes. Our work is to cultivate awareness of it. Any tension, any striving, any emotion, any thought, any feeling, any sound, any sight is all arising in this great perfection. Any sense of striving, of trying to cultivate a meditative state or a special feeling, is also arising as a phenomenon. That isn't you, but also is no other than you at the same time. Just letting it all come up, being attentive. Fully participating in it all, but not getting lost in it as we often do. Can do some eyes open practice like I am as well at this moment, just while I monitor what's happening. Past and future arises within this great nowness, perfection, the who you really are, the pure beingness. This sounds terribly abstract and philosophical and out there and sexy, but these are just pointers to our natural state, who we actually are. We're not the appearances on the stream of consciousness. We are the pure beingness as it fully witnesses everything that's happening right now, including all projections of time and of solidity and of space and of self and other and world. This is all arising in our pure beingness. So let's just sit and watch this parade, the Easter parade, as my teacher Lama Surya Das calls it. Just sitting, just breathing, just being. The breath can act as a kind of conduit or a loosener. It lubricates your experience. It's naturally flowing and moving, vibratory, grounding. So let that ground you and just let it help you fall into pure being. The more you try, the further away you are from your true self, your true all-inclusive, pure nothing self. What takes us from this pure beingness, which is in the default ground state of us, is confusing emotion and our body and thought for separation and outsideness and inside outside. Everything is inside you. And that sounds really sexy, but this is the default state. This is how we are. It's our concepts and our overthinking and our lack of discernment and presence, lack of cultivation. That's the only thing, folks. In Dzogchen, we let go of striving. We realize that striving is also just now and 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 now. Don't take enlightenment so seriously, folks. Often enlightenment is presented in very sexy, far out language with technical descriptions and discernments. And this is useful as a pointer, but the experience is profoundly ordinary. It's a deep detachment, but it's also a deep embodiment of yourself, not yourself, yourself, your character in the video game of life, outside of which there is nothing. It exists in a bubble, a kind of dreamy bubble, which you can never escape. That's why it's elusive, folks. That's why it feels like there's a huge path, a mountain to climb. But the E word is on your doorstep. It's it's more who you are than the striving you who wants to be enlightened. The great perfection includes all feelings of separation and of alienation and delusionment. I don't mean that as an idea, I mean literally moment to moment to moment, the feeling of being separate, the feeling of being distant from the world. This all arises in that pure space. And space gobbles it up and destroys this feeling of the world impinging on you. Even distraction, if you're aware of distraction, it is also a meditation. It's also just another meditation boosting appearance, just another thing you're experiencing. If things feel solid and intractable, you don't need to banish them, you don't need to try and push them away. But also, we'll keep the body loose, not adding to that. Being aware when you're adding to it. Seeing what is solid is not really so solid, anyways. It only appears solid from a certain point of view when you are aware of the entire great perfection, both the nothingness of your being and the fullness. You realize that solidity is a certain illusion to it. Just be still, know where to go. Any feeling of the attention narrowing, getting congealed around the head area, possibly quite common. Realize this is also just arising, this is just stuff. There is no real solidity, folks. It's a dance in your awareness, that's all it is. Just loosen, let it pass right through you, no resistance. Just keep going for another few minutes. For enlightenment, we train, but we cannot obtain. The training just lifts the veil of illusion. It doesn't give you anything really. Lifts away. Brings you home, and yet takes you far away. Okay, we're coming up to the 30-minute mark. Let's feel into the body now. Points of contact with the chair, the seat, the floor. Feeling that stability and the solidity of the body. Again, solidity is kind of a relative thing, but let's feel it. All right. If you join me either live or you're watching this afterwards, it's great to do this with you, to do this live, to practice my Dzogchen and guide others at the same time. If you want to do some more, you can search around the channel for some extra free guided meditations and resources on meditation. And I shall be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock British time. I think that's 3 p.m. Eastern time if you're over the pond. Great. I'm saying goodbye. Good night, folks. Thank you very much.